It's my time, it's my season, and I've got a good reason to open my mouth. Gonna let it out, open your mind, grab your friend. Hope you listen to the end. The vibe is good and learning meets on She Who Speaks. Hi, and welcome to another episode of She Who Speaks. I'm Renee, lover of a good laugh and all things behavioral. With me is Marilyn. She's unassuming but with a good listening ear, and Love Min, an unstoppable force with an angelic voice. Together, we are She Who Speaks, and we are so excited that you are here with us. But we have to pause to acknowledge our very special guest. Her name is Senator Gabriela Morris. Gabriela is the youngest senator in Jamaican history that I'm aware of, and she has a passion for serving young people. Gabby, welcome to our show, and would you mind telling us just a little bit about yourself?
Hi, Renee, and hi, ladies. Thank you for having me. I'm a little bit under the weather, as Renee said, so pardon me if I'm not all that clear. I'll try to be as clear as possible. Well, Renee said, I'm the youngest senator in Jamaican history. I am also a student. Uh, yeah, that's a huge focus in my life right now. So I'm a graduate student pursuing communication for social and behavioral change.
Nice.
Before that, I did an undergraduate degree in pharmacology. So I'm also from the science background. Um, I, I, I like to regard myself as a youth leader, somebody who tries to make changes, make an impact, and also inspire other young people. Um, what else? What else? I grew up in Montego Bay, Jamaica. Big up, mommy. I right now, well, I'm putting it out there into the atmosphere. I'm a budding businesswoman,
Mm-hmm.
trying to also look at entrepreneurial ventures. And right now, I'm just a young woman who is figuring out her place in the world, trying to, while doing that, see how I can be impactful, see how I can be inspirational, see how I can guide others on their journey. So that's a little bit about me.
Listen, your little bit is a lot. That's amazing. That's powerful. That's intentional. That's wow. We're excited to have conversation with you. Thank you so much for coming.
So, Gabby, if I can call you Gabby,
I forget me. It's okay.
and nice. I wanted to know. So, tell us how did how did you get involved in politics? Like, where does desire come from?
Okay, so my political story is a little bit different because one, I am 24 years old. I just turned 24 in January.
Okay.
So
Oh.
it's very uncommon for a 24-year-old young woman to be a senator. So first let
Mm-hmm.
me note that it's very, very new here in Jamaica's political history. But I would have gotten an introduction to politics um, 2 years or 3 years ago, actually, when I did an internship with uh, Peter Bunting. So he's a politician here in Jamaica. And through that experience, I kind of got some insight as to how the political world operates,
Mhm.
what it's like, what it calls for. And around the same time, I would have also gotten involved in the youth arm of the People's National Party. So that's one of the political parties here in Jamaica.
Okay.
And, through that experience, I further learned about the political sphere and how young people have a role to play in advancing politics here in Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of that, I was also involved in student leadership on the Urimona campus. So for at least 3 years, 2 years, I would have served on the Guild of Students, first as the hall chairwoman of the only sorority on campus, and then as second vice president of the guild. So here in Jamaica, the guild is a pretty big thing. It's one of the oldest student organizations, responsible for advocacy
Mm-hmm.
and youth work. So I served there, and I think that gave me a platform uh,
Mm-hmm.
for really, really advocating on behalf of young people. And then I also ran for president last year, actually, in my final year. I didn't win, but I do think that, through that experience, a lot of persons saw that youth work was something that I was interested in.
Mm.
Funny enough, how I really entered, how I was called to the Senate was the summer after I graduated. So that was last year, during
Mm-hmm.
the summer. The election had just finished, so we just had a general election. And I just got a call from the leader of the PNP, and he just asked me if I wanted to be a part of the opposition benches in the Senate. So for me, as a 23-year-old young woman, just fresh out of college, that's a wow moment. I'm like, sure, me. But I thought about it, and one of the things that I think is important for young people to note is that when opportunities come knocking, you don't really you have to open the door. And
Mm-hmm.
so it was a tremendous opportunity. It was very scary, but I was like, this is an opportunity to really give service to young people and to Jamaica at large. So I really had to say yes. And since then, it's been a ride. Um, it's been a lot of learning in a very short space of time.
Mercy.
Yes. So,
Mm-hmm.
but even before that, I should say that I've always been a political enthusiast. Growing up with my parents, they would always keep me very in tune with politics, with current affairs.
Mm-hmm.
And I can remember when we had our first female prime minister, Portia Sinseweda.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was very much in tune with politics at that time because I was so excited about seeing a woman, a black
Uh-huh.
woman, taking up such a place of power. And so it was from that stage that I really said, wow, this politics thing. And from then on, I kept watching the space. But I don't think that I really had the expectations to enter the political arena so early. It kind of came as a shock to me. But as I said, when opportunity comes knocking,
Of
who am I
course.
to question God's leading and where He wants me to go? So,
Hey,
Yeah.
that's right.
Nice.
I'm in awe because at 24, I didn't even know what I wanted like to eat for breakfast. That was already a hard decision. I can't even imagine having
and
to
don't worry,
juggle.
I still don't know sometimes.
That's good,
It's
but at
not
least you're
figuring
just
it out.
right. But you're taking this opportunity, so I'm very admirative of what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Thank
Um, so my next question um, is now more than ever, and with the COVID-19 situation, it aggravated the situation. People are displaying a clear lack of trust in government, politics. So how does your presence in politics make a difference?
Well,
Mm.
as you said, it's a very difficult time right across the world. But here in Jamaica specifically, I find that we are battling with navigating the pandemic because it affects so many areas. Here in Jamaica, our healthcare system has been struggling, our education system
Mhm.
struggling to find, direction, trying to figure out how we're actually going to get our young people back on track with
Mm.
with getting their education. Crime is still an issue here.
Mm.
So it's a lot of juggling that the government has to be doing all at once to ensure that we keep on track. Um, as a young person entering politics, I find that it's especially difficult in a time like this because there's so much noise. There's so much political noise because of what's happening,
Mm-hmm.
and I find that in in making my my points or my cases in speaking to the media, I always try to bring a very informed perspective. I try not to feed into a lot of the misinformation or propaganda
Mm-hmm.
that that's coming into the space in this moment. And I try to always put forward a message of forward thinking and hope. Because one of the things that I note is that as a young person in parliament, it's very important to me to make a difference now that will impact future generations. Because a lot of the persons who sit in parliament now, um, in 20, 30 years, most of them will be on their way out, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that young people are really important in creating the future that they want to see. So, as a young person in the decision making body, um, I'm always insistent on us making plans now that will really benefit those to come or will benefit us in the long run or in the grand scheme of things.
Mm-hmm.
So I always try to bring that element of forward thinking and sustainability to that's very
Right.
important.
Right.
I think one of the things that I've enjoyed as you're kind of chronicling your experience and your dance with politics, I was kind of remembering because I do follow your social media pages, and I do remember those different points in your career. One of the things I do notice a lot is that you seem to have a strong sense of advocacy for youth and also for women. So my question to you would be, there is always going to be, unfortunately, a school of thought that says that women aren't as equipped to sit in positions of power, and we even talked about it on one of our episodes. How do you handle the naysayers in those situations? If you've ever had to deal with that, how do you handle those naysayers?
Um, yeah, so I'll definitely say that that school of thought is still very present here in our political system,
Mm-hmm.
where maybe not overtly or maybe not in a very apparent way, but we still have those underlying nuances that lends itself to that school of thought where we even in our actions subtly
Mm-hmm.
sorry we perpetrate that and we put forward these ideas that women aren't equipped enough or aren't as equipped, and especially young women, you know. So when I was appointed, um, one of the one of the first glaring uh, naysayers, let me say it that way, was one of our political commentators here in Jamaica, and he said, "How can we have uh, what was it? I'm trying to remember the headline. How can we have a young man fresh out of university being a senator?" And that raised a lot of concerns. And I remember in the media at the time, I was trying not to read all the comments, but I did read into some of them. And that was a general discussion, you know, what does a young woman bring to the table in the Senate? And I find that over time, I've had to remind myself of the value that I actually bring to the table. And I think what we are realizing as we progress as a country is that all voices must contend.
That's it.
In a space like Parliament, it's important that you have representation. Representation matters. So you need women, you need men, you need young people, you need people from rural Jamaica, from urban Jamaica, so
Mm-hmm.
that we can, accurately represent the concerns of all Jamaicans.
Yeah.
So I see it as important that my voice is heard, my voice is added to the conversation. Um, and one of the things that I enjoy speaking about is the role of women, the role of young people, because I believe that it's a conversation that we need to have. If we don't focus on involving all groups, then we aren't as progressive as we think. And if we aren't progressive, then we're moving way off from our developmental track.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important for me to give advocacy in those areas to inspire other young women to say to them that, hey, while the political space may not be as welcoming of women, young women, still come in, still make a difference. And
Mm-hmm.
then we also have to help as women, I believe, to kind of foster that environment that will allow young women to come in and feel as if they have something to bring to the table. I think that's very important. Where they want to contribute,
Mm-hmm.
they want their voices to be heard. And so, one of the things that was significant about my appointment was that it says that it's possible for a young person to sit in one of the highest decision making bodies. And so, sometimes, I feel as if there is a lot of pressure on
Mhm.
me to perform because my appointment, I think, it opens the door for a lot of young people.
Mhm.
It says to them that you have a seat at the table. You can take a seat at the table. And so that's why it's so important for me to perform and perform well, because I want other young people to be able to come into the space and play their part.
I can hear how for you it's important
Yeah.
the impact and the image that you project. So can you talk to us how is it a pressure? Like how did you have to navigate? Do you have to really be self-conscious about your image in this position? I don't know. Like Renee, talk about your social media. Are you really careful about what you're posting and what you're saying? Like, can you?
With social media, you definitely have to be careful.
Yeah.
um, I did a research paper last semester on politics and social media. So that's one of my papers that I'm working on,
Okay.
because we see where since at least 2016 here in Jamaica, social media has really played an important part in how politicians and political parties are viewed. So it's definitely important for me to kind of ensure that my social media is representative of who I am.
Yeah.
And yeah, I have to be very careful about creating that. Um, I don't consider myself somebody who is a huge social media person.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really trying to get back out there, I think. And, I have to admit that since my appointment, I've been super careful. And I think in being super careful, I've kind of, I've kind of longed to move away from the space, because
Okay.
sometimes it can be so taxing.
Mhm.
Just being in the space and seeing all that's been said. Sometimes you have negative comments. Thankfully, I and maybe I haven't been reading them, but I've seen a lot of positive comments. So
Mhm.
I try to focus on that. But you do have negative comments in the space, and so sometimes I find myself wanting to just give it a break. Even yesterday, I didn't go on social media. Like, I just tried to stay away. So I find myself doing that sometimes because of how toxic and taxing the space can be sometimes. But definitely, as a young person, as I said, it's very important for me to conduct myself in a way that won't put future generations in jeopardy. So I don't want persons to say, oh, the young one, and she did this and she posted this and that's not okay. So
Yeah.
I try to set a standard that won't cause persons to feel as if I'm being brought into disrepute. So how you dress, how you conduct yourself, how you speak is all very important. And I'm finding more and more that I have to be super conscious of that. I wouldn't say it's a burden,
Mhm.
but I would say it's definitely something that I just try to be mindful of. Yeah.
Awesome.
Good, good. You are so mature already in your way of thinking and everything that you
Always. Yeah.
very impressive.
Thank
And as we reflect on you being aware of who you are, where you stand. So, as a young woman, as a Black woman, and I'm pretty sure sometimes you have to be with your peers in maybe an international platform. Do you feel the pressure to always rise to the occasion for fear of being stereotyped as the young and Black woman? And
Um, yeah, there's definitely that pressure sometimes. At first, for me, when I when I first, got into the Senate, it was very intimidating because you're in the presence of 20 other persons who are super experienced in their field. They've probably been in the Senate before. And so for me, it was a very intimidating experience the first couple times around. But one of the things that I've really reminded myself of is the fact that I bring value to the table. And there are things that I'm going to know that my colleagues who are 3 times my age probably won't know. And so I'm bringing a fresh perspective to the table. And I try to remind myself of that every time I sit in the Senate. Because one of the things that I struggled with at first was, not speaking up as much as I would normally, because I felt that I was going to say something wrong or I didn't know enough. And how I've been dealing with that is to simply say, you're bringing a fresh perspective.
Mhm.
Your voice needs to be added to this conversation because you have something important to say. So I've had to drill that into my head, constantly. And that's been helping me a lot to, speak up and represent a lot more. Um, COVID has really put a damper on things, but
Mhm.
because of the virtual space, luckily, I've been able to meet other young persons who are in similar positions. A few months before my appointment, uh, there was a young lady in Namibia. She was appointed as an MP at 23, just like myself, or yeah, I think she was 23. And we had a chance to speak, and that kind of helped me to feel as if I was in a community, that there were other young persons out there who were in government who were doing their thing, and that was a motivating factor for me. Just a week ago, there was another young woman in Namibia who was appointed as an MP at 22.
Okay.
So those global trends with other young people getting into the political space, it's really encouraging to me, and I hope and I'm looking forward to the day when here in Jamaica we can see a lot more young people entering parliament, because here in Jamaica when we say young, oftentimes it's 40, it's closer to your 30s. So that's young in political years.
Right.
But I'm hoping to see a lot more persons in my age group entering the space and making their contributions. So I try to always show up as my best self when I represent. I try to always keep in mind also, how do I represent the interest of the Jamaican people?
Mm.
I always try to keep that at the fore of my mind, because at the end of the day, even though I was appointed and not elected, I still think it's important for me to speak on their behalf and be a mouthpiece for their concerns.
I mean,
I'm pretty sure. I
I'm
was just about to say, I'm pretty sure that yeah, that all of the people that are older than you in the Senate, they were happy to have you when they needed Zoom and all of these new gadgets during the pandemic. That's when
Yes,
you.
yeah, man, the technology, I
Right.
teaching them
Now,
how to take selfies and all
Hey,
this.
hey, come
see?
on.
I knew it. I knew it.
Oh man. So Gabby, it's been amazing to just watch you and knowing you before your appointment and watching you even during the process. It's just an amazing journey to be part of. And I don't live in Jamaica anymore, but I'm very integrated in the society, the culture, and I have seen and heard nothing but just praises of the work that you're doing and how you're handling that. So that's amazing. I just wanted to add that. I think my final question to you as we're wrapping up is um, maybe a two-part question. The first question is, what's a fun thing about you, a fun, quirky, anything, just fun thing that people be surprised to know. That's part A. And then part B, just any closing thoughts that you'd like to offer to any young person, young woman watching this.
Quirky. Oh, I don't know.
Don't
I
be shy,
don't
don't be
know.
shy.
Um, okay, so I let me talk about some new things that I'm doing. So I'm trying gardening. So I've been having to find things that relax me because, as I said, it's whew, the workload. You know, trying to navigate. Um, career and business at 24. It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
so I really have to find some things that relax me. So I'm a Netflixer. Like you before I came on, I was watching Netflix. But that doesn't always do the trick, and I realize that that can get very addictive. So I'm trying to find healthier ways of dealing with the stress. So the other day, I got a tomato plant from my neighbor, but it
Uh-huh.
died. So I'm trying to replant some seeds. And
Good.
yeah, I have a sweet pepper plant already, so I'm very excited about
Better
that.
than me. I kill things. Things come to my house to die, so I don't even try.
So I'm dabbling in that. It's very weird, but it's something that I am excited about doing. Additionally, I'm focusing, as I said, on my businesses. Trying to build that into something that can, become a source of income, not just for me but other persons.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, fun stuff. What do I do for fun? I
I know one. I mean, I know one. Gabby dances very well.
Listen, I haven't
Good.
done.
This
I
is
don't even
very
go
good.
anywhere. If I hear music, I wouldn't know what to do right now because it has me
Let's
inside.
try.
Right.
It has me inside all the time, so I wouldn't even know what to do. Fun stuff. I don't even bake anymore. I used to find that fun. I'm trying to get back into the groove of that, trying to start back with the gym and, getting in shape.
Oh, I saw that video too. Girl, you fit.
That was a long time. COVID has changed so many things.
For
So many
everybody.
things. But a very important thing for me too is just finding balance because, as I said, it's a lot to do. And in trying to be the best Gabby, I find that I have to find the things that will keep me balanced. So school over there, business over there, but I also have to find time to unwind and relax. And I'm trying to get on that path where I can balance, just balance everything that's happening.
That's amazing. Well, ladies, I don't know about you, but
Oh
I
yeah, I didn't answer the second
Oh
part.
yes, that's true. Girl, go ahead. Go ahead.
Um, Encouragement. So I always say to young people, make a plan because sometimes we have our dreams and we have our visions in our head, but a lot of times we don't sit down and take time out to actually write down how we're gonna achieve it, who are the people that are gonna help us to achieve that, timelines for that. So I always encourage young persons like myself to take time out to do that because I find that it gives you a lot of clarity. It also helps you to identify what the shortcomings are, and it helps you to fix them from early out. So when you, for example, if one of your goals are getting to university, you before getting to university, you know how you're gonna get there, what you need to do, who's gonna help you. So when you get there, you're not actually running around like a headless chicken because you need a plan.
Right.
Um, so that's very important, I think, for young people. in helping to navigate the space. The second thing that I always say is believe in the power of your dreams, believe in yourself, because the world is full of opportunities. But a lot of times we don't take advantage of them because one, we might not feel that we're worthy, we don't feel as if we're ready, we don't feel as if it's ours. And one of the things that I've I found is that you have to believe that you are deserving. You have to
Wow.
believe that. You have to believe that this is what God has ordained for me. This is what
Mm.
God has put on my plate.
Mm.
And you have to be willing and ready to go after it and accept it. So believe in yourself. Just do it. Like Nike. I hope they don't
Hey.
take no legal
Wow.
action. But I always say just do it. Just do it. Yeah.
Wow.
So much. Thank you so much, Gabby. Your presence was so warm, and thank you for your advice, your energy. I'm not from Jamaica, but I'm proud of your very inspiring and encouraging for a French girl, a Haitian background. So, and I'm sure you inspire a lot of us today. So, thank you for your presence.
For having me, ladies. You're so beautiful, wonderful. Love you guys.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
Love and appreciate you too.
Thank you so much, Gabby. You are really wise beyond your years. I don't know what else to say. I mean, I wish I had a friend like you when I was 24. At my age, it's incredible because anyone can inspire you. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter how old you are. So I'm glad you took that step and you are doing what you're doing right now because it is amazing. It's just amazing. Thank you so much.
And have you, ladies. And continue doing good work with your podcast and
Thank
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 you.
you.
other videos.
Oh, thank you, my dear.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you. You know what? I agree with Loveman. I agree with Marilyn. I have had a whole lot more context and introduction to you, and I just want to affirm you also to keep up the good work. You're doing an amazing job. You are always going to find opposition in some area, but I think you have the right spirit. I think your tunnel vision and you're focusing on the right thing. And I'm just so excited to see how your whole journey is going to be. And I'll be in the back with Loveman and Marilyn being like a Gabby fan, just cheering you on, holding
Especially
you
when you
up on
become
our
president,
shoulders.
we'll be there.
Listen, we ready for it. We'll move back to Jamaica.
Right.
I don't even want to be a part of the I don't
Come
even want
on.
to be a part of it. I just want to live off of the property and just say I know you. Continue to do amazing. We're so delighted that you joined us today. And for all of you that are watching, will you jump in the comment section and just affirm Gabby? Thank her so much for her leadership, for her vision, for standing in the gap for young people in general, but specifically ladies who may be little girls now who are paying attention to the current climate around them and being inspired to live and to dream and to hope for so much more. If you enjoyed this episode, won't you go ahead and give it a like, subscribe, and share? And as always, until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. This is She Who Speaks. Bye bye.